Never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Level up, level up. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Never lose, should've had better luck. I'ma wake 'em up from a slumber. Money ain't nothing but a thing, and the level ain't nothing but a number. Life ain't nothing but a game. Level up, level up. Never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. I wanna ball. Waking up meant that he gave me a chance and I'm rolling the dice. I do it all. Living like I'm trying to go for the platinum trophy in life. Who can you call? Really nobody, so you should just follow me on your device. And know if she chilling with me, then it's bound to be chemical X and the sugar and spice. Game in the system, but game is the hobby. I'm probably cocky, but hot as wasabi. I mean, if it's beef, then you know where to find me. My focus is ready and so is my body. You should be running and telling your posse and what's in the speakers and what's in your potty. And she trying to kick it, but this ain't karate. Just keep that shit down while I'm watching Tsunami. I ain't saying I'm a super nerd, but I told you when we got involved, my idea of a perfect date is a PlayStation and some alcohol. I was role playing on GTA. I'm a good guy, but I got it all. If the world should end, be the first to leave, but the last of us acting naughty, dog. Level up, level up. Never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Level up, level up. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Never lose, should've had better luck. I'ma wake 'em up from a slumber. Money ain't nothing but a thing, and the level ain't nothing but a number. Life ain't nothing but a game. Level up, level up. Never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Level up, never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Level up, level up. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Never lose, should've had better luck. I'ma wake 'em up from a slumber. Money ain't nothing but a thing, and the level ain't nothing but a number. Life ain't nothing but a game. Level up, level up. Never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. I wanna ball. Waking up meant that he gave me a chance and I'm rolling the dice. I do it all. Living like I'm trying to go for the platinum trophy in life. Who can you call? Really nobody, so you should just follow me on your device. And know if she chilling with me, then it's bound to be chemical X and the sugar and spice. Game in the system, but game is the hobby. I'm probably cocky, but hot as wasabi. I mean, if it's beef, then you know where to find me. My focus is ready and so is my body. You should be running and telling your posse and what's in the speakers and what's in your potty. And she trying to kick it, but this ain't karate. Just keep that shit down while I'm watching Tsunami. I ain't saying I'm a super nerd, but I told you when we got involved, my idea of a perfect date is a PlayStation and some alcohol. I was role playing on GTA. I'm a good guy, but I got it all. If the world should end, be the first to leave, but the last of us acting naughty, dog. Level up, level up. Never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Level up, level up. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Never lose, should've had better luck. I'ma wake 'em up from a slumber. Money ain't nothing but a thing, and the level ain't nothing but a number. Life ain't nothing but a game. Level up, level up. Never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm not gonna fight. I'm not gonna fight.
He wants to. It's so hard.
We're live. We're live, aren't we? You know, professionalism is what we like to lead with here at Level 1 Gaming. Stepping, you know, here. President accounted for. I didn't know we were doing roll call yet, but what I will say is that we need to clean the meme box as but guys, I am Baron J67. This is the 2XP podcast. We are magically, somehow, some way, we've tripped and fell forward into level 264 here at LV1 Gaming. And we have all these wonderful folks. We got the usual suspects. We have our arcade. We got Strolly. We got Flameser. We got Bordy. Sandwiches galore. You know, I swear they made Starfield just for her. And it is an amazing experience having folks sit here and join us in all this chaos and all this craziness that's going on within the gaming space, whether it's AI trying to come in and undercut and be the free labor for the gaming space, or whether it's layoffs.
Yeah.
You know, layoffs during record profits. Like, there's just so much craziness going on, and you guys are coming and hanging out with us to talk about it. So first and foremost, let's get through our introductions. I would like to introduce the lovely purple screen, the glorious, fresh from Japan, fresh from them islands, coming back, Tokyo Game Show, holding it down for Freedom Games. You know, just a big publisher out there. No big deal.
Oh God.
Yes! See, I didn't do your full government.
Yeah, I'm proud of you. Thank you. Thank
Not the
you.
government. Oh God.
Yo, what's up? It's good to be back. I'm sorry I'm not on cam. I have a lot going on, so but I'm here as much as I can be. And Baron, I wanted to say, like, as smooth as you are with talking, every time you have to host a pod, you are so awkward when you're introducing. It kind of, like you got it in the bag. Like you are you got it. Yes, you do. You feel like you don't know what to say.
I don't. No, you know what it is? You know what it really is?
What?
It's because I look at this as Fame's thing, and Fame has a very specific way of doing it. And because I can't mirror it to a T and I refuse to learn the script, it turns into a me floundering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? F stands for family, so it's for all of us, right? So when Fame isn't here, you just got to do it in your style.
Yes. And that's why I'm glad you're here. And you know, and speaking of just noting that and noting my shame and throwing a period at the end of that, moving over to Level 1 Gaming's very own, as she mentioned, low to the earth, grounded, the floor hugger. I didn't say it as a negative. I didn't mention your height as a negative. I said it as you're grounded, your level, your balance.
You know what? I'll take it.
You're the base.
I was about to kick you in your shins. So. What's up, guys? I'm here to talk about gaming. You know, it's the floor hugger. We're gonna talk about some stuff. We're not gonna spoil anything. We're not gonna be like those people on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. We're just gonna have some philosophical debates about things, and kind of just enjoy gaming again, because it's been a little like combative and like he said, she said, or pitting each other against each other lately, that we can all kind of like unite and be like, don't do that. And also, what's up, Mike?
Geek Life Mike! Much love. But last but certainly not least, it is our guest, Mr. Miller. Now, wait, before I just end it there, because there's so much here. As you guys know, because I can't fake the funk. Look, Miller, I got to be real. I've talked a lot of crap about the Avengers.
Who hasn't?
No, but I'm belligerent. I'm so belligerent. That's why me hosting is also like kind of not nerve-wracking, but it's just I feel like I'm faking the funk here because of how much I pick on Fame, and it's been since launch of how much I've picked on this man for playing and not only playing but enjoying this game. But the reason I even bring up the Avengers is because all the news that we ever quoted, all the hype, all the leaks, all the coverage was always noted by got it from Miller on Twitter.
That's so flattering.
No, you don't understand. Like, your name is brought up so much around this in the positive light, of course, because it's Fame. hyping up his enjoyment of the Avengers. And there's me on the end poking him, trying to make fun of it. And coming from a guy who beat the main story, right? But I just want to say thank you so much for being here. And I know Fame will be here eventually, and I know we'll talk about the Avengers as late in the podcast as possible, because we got so much other stuff to cover. But please let folks know a little bit more about yourself and what you're currently working on, if you can talk about that, or some upcoming stuff. Just folks, we have Miller.
Thank you. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. I'm Miller Ross. I've been doing this for going on 3 years now. Avengers has always been my thing. That's what got me started. I was just some guy with a computer and more interest in a game than I think was reciprocated by a very modest marketing strategy. I wanted to know more. I needed to know more. And I'm the kind of guy who I guess doesn't take no for an answer. And so that meant data mining. That meant hanging out with devs. And it all snowballed so rapidly until now I'm working on sort of like a post-mortem on like what happened with Avengers. And there's been a lot of attempts at that over the years, and I think I'm going to surprise a lot of people, especially too because so much of it is a heel turn from takes that I've had over the years. I spent a long time pulling blame away from Crystal Dynamics, and I think hindsight has lent itself to a more realistic take on who was to blame and exactly what went down. It's sad, but anyways, yeah, this is what I do. I'm a journalist now. I'm on this professional.
Actually, can we kind of talk about that, right? Because I know for me, I used to react to YouTube trailers. Like that was my thing. Like just trailers on YouTube, whether it was movies, video games, just whatever was cool. That's what I got started in. Went to college and all that other fun stuff, but I never wrote formally, or never wrote a review, or never wrote or had anything published, or planned to get anything published. So to go from that to a space of where now people are looking forward to reading stuff that you write, how was that journey?
It's oh gosh, I mean, it fell in my lap. Like I was streaming for a long time. Like I think everybody sort of needs two pillars to what they're doing online, I think there was a time when I was trying to sort of get into development, and so many of the other applicants that I was interacting with, they all had those two pillars where they're streaming and they do React content, or they're a community manager here, but they also do like ASMR stuff. Like everybody was always sort of had at least like two balls in the air at any given time. And so when I started, I was really just like a Twitter account, and then High Ruler convinced me to start streaming. I'm a big fan of, like, I like subversive content. That's always what's appealed to me. Like my streaming, my exposure to streaming at that point, I didn't find most of it entertaining, but I was really into like sketch comedy within that that framing. Like I really liked early Caseytron and stuff like that, that was just trying to flip it on its head and make a joke out of it. And so I did a little bit of that for a while, but streaming became like a second home for me. And I was doing like a 24/7 stream that lasted like 7 months, and I was just exploring and learning a lot about myself, and it was so much fun, and I miss it. But life changes. I was in university at the time. I had a lot more free. It was COVID. People were just swimming in time. That was all we had, and life eventually came knocking. And I had to get a day job. I had bills to pay, and I had been approached before actually to write something for a different outlet, and it had kind of fallen apart. But then out of nowhere, I was approached by I don't know how much I could say, but I was I was approached by someone at Xputer. They used to be the home of Tom Henderson. That was where Tom Henderson got his start, and he is like the leaker influencers, he is like top of the pack. Like it's like him and Grub and you know what I mean? He's that A level. And he went off to start Insider Gaming. So they had this sort of Tom Henderson sized hole in Executor's repertoire. And the impression that I gathered is that they'd approached a few people about legitimizing and trying to follow in those footsteps. And I found it really intriguing. I was a published poet many years ago when I was young. It's like a little thing. But I really was considering poetry when I was young. Poetry was like my thing. I loved writing. I loved storytelling. And when I was going to university, I was really sort of juggling between going for just a sort of a generalized media major or screenwriting. I love writing. And so the thought of writing professionally, anything, but especially something that I'm passionate about, you know, they say, like, when it comes to screenwriting, never fall in love with a project because you're never going to get that thing that you love. Like, it just doesn't work that way. And so to have the opportunity to write about something that I was so obsessed with was a miracle. I was so blessed. So I jumped in. Every outlet is different. So there's been a learning process for me as sort of my foray into journalism, like how much of this is Executor and how much of this is the industry. Where does one begin and the other ends? It's been weird, but I'm so lucky that they have really let me sort of do it at my pace. If I have something to say, then, you know, they'll give me a venue to say that, which has been a miracle. And so I was working on a Suicide Squad piece for a little bit, and it kind of fell apart because they are so locked down over there, and it's really, really difficult to build contacts, especially for me who's just kind of gotten started. Like, Avengers took me years in the trenches. Like, I would wake up, I would data mine, and I would like be on Twitter all day replying to people, sending like bug reports to devs, like going back and forth. I lived Avengers, and I would go to sleep at night. Like, that was my entire day for like years. So it's hard to replicate that, you know what I mean? Like, that was what gave me those sources. I wasn't approaching it from a journalistic perspective. It really became that after the fact. So
did you just create a new genre of journalism?
No. I mean,
no, you kind of did.
Well, it's holistic, you know. I lucked into it. It's like, imagine if you lived next door to a studio, you know, maybe you'll hear something at the coffee shop, you know. Does that make you does that mean you like fished out those sources? Not as journalists do,
but you legit fished out the sources.
You got to the same place at the end of the day. Like, it's been cool, but like I said, it's so difficult to replicate that in a different game. And I've been trying, but either way, there's still more to say about Avengers. This last piece is really interesting, and I think it's going to really surprise people.
And I want to stop that right there because I know Fame really wants to talk about Avengers, and I feel like I tried my best to guide that intro away from it. So, but yeah, we'll definitely get back to that. But let's jump in to these ridiculous, crazy topics that are going on. And today's show is basically centered around PlayStation. So let's start with The Last of Us Factions, right? So Factions has been a pretty cool still shot idea image going around on Twitter for a while. You know, it was brought up and discussed during a PlayStation State of Play not too long ago. Well, what was it, last year? Or I don't have my sources down to a T, but I remember it being in the past, obviously. And we were hoping to get some news and gameplay, idea, a visual, something. But now the game is on ice, not canceled. It's just put in the freezer for now to preserve. That when I hear on ice, that's what I take from it. You know, when I put things on ice, it's to preserve. Now, also, when I think something's on ice, I'm thinking that it's going to be, you know, we're going to get to it quicker than you would that 3-month-old chicken that you swore you were gonna be better about and put over a salad. You know, I'm really believing that this is me talking here, not trying to be funny. I really believe they want to get this out and they're gonna get this out. I think the shift up top, you know, who knows what else Bungie told them. Like nobody's brought up anything around that. Maybe there's a bunch of is there
to be fair, there is a game that is still on ice that hasn't been made in 20 years, and that was Sleeping Dogs was supposed to get an MMO. And it's still technically on ice. It's just never going to come out because we have GTA Online, and then APB Reloaded was around at the same time.
I remember that game!
Yeah, so there is games that are on ice indefinitely that I don't think will ever be made.
Jade Empire 2? No. No, look, okay. Yes. So I'm being hopeful, okay? You just came in and pulled the rug from under my hopes.
I think they will make it because they want money, and people are still talking about Last of Us. And that's going to be a money printer. If they can make it into, like, not necessarily a Far Cry 3 multiplayer and not a GTA Online multiplayer, but like something where you can experience the world and it's not just straight PvP. I think if it's more like a Destiny where you can do what you want, I think people will be really happy with that because a lot of people really love the lore, and the people that don't like it aren't going to like it anyway, so it doesn't matter. You can't appeal to them, but the people that like it, the people who want to continue the story, there's so many ways. I don't think we'll see the original version of whatever it was, just like we'll never see the original version of Scalebound if they do come out with it, but whatever does eventually come out, I did say it. This whole fame can hurry up. I'm trying to put all the juju out there so you can get in here. Right. Fame, you hear? I said Scalebound.
Yeah, he did. Like, if you say it 3 times, he'll pop out of the turf. But no, seriously. So with this news, and then not only that, if I'm not mistaken, there was I don't know if it was rumors or what, but team members were let go from Naughty Dog. On top of this being put on ice, is this goes into a restructuring thing? You know, are we seeing Naughty Dog being potentially shifted into the whole multiplayer future that PlayStation was putting out there? Or are they just trying to clean up the books? Maybe because money wasn't made like they thought it was going to be, and that's why we got the random announcement of Horizon Forbidden West on PC. Like, it just what I don't know what's going on at Naughty Dog, guys.
Seems obvious to me.
Oh well, yeah, Miller. Yeah,
like, I mean, if you think about it, they've got X amount of staff. These staff are working on Factions. They're in full scale production. They nix Factions. Factions is dead. So there's all these developers that were working full time on that, and whatever other project they're working on can't absorb that many developers, or is too early along to reach that state of development, or is already in active development and has enough people working on it. They don't have anything for those people to do, so they're not just going to let. I mean, that sounds heartless, but I mean, you know, it's a business, and they, you know, they've just canceled a project that X amount of people were working on, and they don't have anything else for them to do. And I mean, so I can't imagine a scenario where the Factions ramps back up. I can't see it. I mean, unless it takes a different form in a generation or two. But also, I don't know who was asking for Factions. And I mean, I think so many of the complaints around live service games, and I'll say the intersection between live service and AAA is that it's so generic, that it's so bland, that it's just the real world. You know what I mean? Like, just go outside if you want the Last of Us live service game. Like, that's called life. Like, I don't get who it's for. Like, no, but imagine it, because you think of live service games, right? You think of like, oh, I've got a 3-star flak jacket and I need to upgrade it to a 4-star, so I need 12 bandages, and it's like, that sounds awful. Like,
I don't ruin the magic.
I don't want that. Like, don't get me wrong though. Naughty Dog, their proprietary tech is incredible. Like the what they did with animations in Last of Us 2.
Oh, yeah.
That's a breakthrough. That that has really pushed the industry forward. Hurrah! Put that into anything, and I'm interested in it.
True.
But like, you know, for Christ's sake, I played Avengers for years. Like, that's not exactly a high bar. But I'll tell you, on that note, I feel so bad because everybody. We talked about this a little bit in the pre-show. Everybody who raves about Avengers, the thing that they rave about is the campaign, which was directed by Sean SKG, who left Crystal Dynamics shortly after launch to go back to Naughty Dog. It happened to him again.
Oh my gosh. So, and this is what's really scary, right? When I think Naughty Dog, I think great, amazing, fun story, along with amazing, freaking gritty melee combat. Their melee combat has always been some of the top. Like, I feel like you're in a fight. Yeah. Like it's visceral. Like, and then like people are falling as they're punching. People, like, there's just so much into, instead of just random combos that, you know, the animations lock and you connect and you do the combo and then they fall, or, you know, like it's so much there.
Yeah.
Why risk running away from that? Like, even though Factions was loved by people who played The Last of Us, I didn't play it.
Hear me out. Okay. Think about Avengers, right? And I know I bring everything back to this, but this is really, really a good comparison. The first Tomb Raider reboot had a multiplayer mode. That was what made Crystal Dynamics say, "Can do this. We got this." Like, and did people like it? Sure, you know. But I mean, is it dead to, like, I mean, wasn't there like an Uncharted PvP mode or something in like one of those games? Like,
Uncharted
who the hell
2.
cares? Are we
Uncharted
gonna do an Uncharted like live service game next? It's all PvP. Come on, like, and also too, I think what people underestimate about live service games is like they're so expensive to make. Like, the biggest problem with Avengers was that they wanted to make it with a third of the size of Bungie. Like, it wasn't gonna happen. And I just don't see any. I mean, Sony, if there's anybody who can cut a blank check necessary to make a functioning live service game, it would be Sony, because they love spending money.
Yeah.
But I just look at it like, if you fail, and you will, what a waste. Like, that could be 4 games, like 4 AAA games in that budget. Like, don't waste it.
Yeah.
See, okay, now let me tell you, you keep bringing up Outriders, Hugger, and I got drugged through the mud on Reddit about this. Outriders' failure, in my opinion, was they created a game that in soul and in function, everything about it seemed like a games as a service, until you play it and realize, oh, this is not a games as a service.
What the marketing was,
the game is done.
But what is a games as a service? Like, I feel like we get so lost in the minutia of that.
I can tell you.
But some of that is intentional, because there are a lot of games that are greenlit as live services, and then they're like, they either do genuinely pivot, but they're still clearly like an offline live service. Like, it's like, what is this? Like a Gotham Knights kind of vibe, or
Outriders,
or Outriders, or it is literally just a live service, but we don't call it a live service for some reason, like a Splatoon kind of, you know what I mean? Where like everything that makes a game a live service is there, but for some reason we don't consider it one because it's like a naughty word at this point. It's very weird.
And in hearing that, because once again I always jump back to Outriders, where they fell short is you created this game where the idea of random dropped gear, the idea of areas and monsters you show that you don't even fight that are in the intro of the game. There's like so many, there's areas, there's different time trials and events to do at the end game that you do to get more loot, to go to get more resources to buy from shops that exist. Everything about the game screams, oh, there's a battle pass, oh, there's a season next season's gonna drop new guns. Everything about the game, but it didn't happen. And it felt almost like it was like you're supposed to be getting a new update. Yeah. And it never comes. And now I don't know if that's a sin on us as gamers, or is that a sin on the developer? Like, hey, we made a game, we got everything out we wanted to get out, but you guys want us to put quarterly content in or monthly content in? It's like, well, that's how it feels. It feels like it should be there. And but
you know what feels like it should be a live service that is definitely not? Red Dead Redemption 2. That online is ass.
Oh man, not the gold bars.
You know, my definition of live services is GTA RP. If you miss a day, something is gonna happen. That is a live service that you need to be there every day. Destiny, you need to be checking in every day. ESO, you need to be there every day to get your reward.
Aren't you afraid of Rockstar ruining GTA RP? Like, I'm petrified. 100%. To me, this is the biggest story in gaming that nobody's talking about, is Rockstar inevitably destroying GTA RP. Like, no one on the planet has confidence that they're going to handle this well. They're going to monetize it through the teeth. It's going to be worse than whatever the hell the new Sims is going to be. Like, everyone is terrified of whatever this legit GTA RP is going to end up being. And people don't talk about the numbers that GTA RP gets, not only in terms of viewership, but in terms of playership. Like, the Steam numbers are ridiculous, and it's like, because of the way that 5M works, it's like SDK source something. So it doesn't really show up in the charts like it would, but it's so immensely popular. That's the biggest live service game on the planet.
Yeah.
And Take-Two, they I mean, there are capitalistic vampires, and then there are capitalistic vampires, and then there's Take-Two. Like, they're going to destroy it, and that's going to be like the burning of the Library of Alexandria for gaming. Ooh. Like, it's the coolest thing on the planet.
They're gonna pull the plug on.
Dead. No, they're not going to pull the plug on it. They're going to endorse it, but you're going to pay for every dime.
Because it's all free. All you have to do is own the game right now, and then you can go and be in a city, play for free. And they cracked down a few years ago with, you can't have real world brands in your servers at all. So, like, people had Austin Martins, people had Louis Vuitton clothing. You cannot do that anymore. So they're slowly gripping their way in, and I am scared. But at the same time, I'm like, I will go roleplay something else if Rockstar really gets that nasty. Like, I can go roleplay Baldur's Gate. I can go fire up old Red Dead and just play offline. I will do something else. Rockstar, I love you guys, but you ain't give me Bully. You haven't given me a PC compatible Bully. I don't know about you. Y'all
you never played Bully?
Yeah.
I'm just saying the PC version is the console version.
I just want them to do a sequel. That's all I want them to do.
Bully in college would be amazing. Can you imagine creating his own frat? That would be the theme of the game.
Jimmy is the character from Manhunt, and you cannot tell me that is not Jimmy Hopkins.
Oh, damn, he is.
Wow. Stop in and say, like, it makes sense with the name brand thing, because name brand stuff, like, they want to get their money. So it makes sense that they're cracking down on that. But that could be a good thing. If they're cracking down on that, that could mean that, like, they want to keep the service free for a while. Otherwise, they would have to pay, like, Louis Vuitton and Nike money to have them in their game, right? For advertising. So I don't know what's going to happen there, because I don't play those games.
It was 8 years later, after you have already announced GTA 6, that now things are starting to be an issue. Because it wasn't.
It could have been. It took that long for them to, like, actually see that a lot of their shit was in the game.
It's not even just a matter of, like, I mean, all you have to do to see how Take-Two is going to handle GTA RP is to look at today's GTA Online. Like, the monetization is messed up. They keep pulling shit and then charging you for it. Like, it's exactly how GTA RP is going to go. They've proven it time and time again. If we get a GTA RP mode for GTA 6, that's just like exactly how 5M works right now, I can't even imagine that world. Like, it doesn't. I don't. There's something probably very funny that I could say. I can't think of it. It's gone. Mind empty. Doesn't happen.
Do you think they'll do some type of creator club thing like Bethesda does? In terms of adding into the RP? Like where they charge
There's too many
and
people
don't?
that make too many different things that Rockstar. So just before we move on, we have clothing devs, and they make their own custom content. So Rockstar's not going to pay them to make their own custom content for a tank top, and then that person now has to fit it to everybody. There's different arms, there's different body parts. It's so much work that Rockstar will never have a creator club that is reasonably priced if they do have a creator club, but they're gonna charge like $20 for one shirt.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
They're
the
not
stuff
gonna do
that they're
that.
making.
Some of the stuff
Sorry.
they're making is really good too, and people
Do they
it for
get
free
paid
and they
for
put
it?
out. They do
Or
it
they
for
just
free.
put it out for free?
Yeah.
So do they so for The Sims there's a Patreon, right? You can have it up behind a wall for a certain amount of time and then you have
People
to
do
remove
that.
it.
It's
They
exactly like
do.
The Sims.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's actually Sims
Got it.
content put into some of the servers too. If you have the permissions to change it, you can. So it's like it's not just GTA that it will suffer. It's the Sims custom content community that a lot of the stuff gets built off of. It's car modding, it's code writing, it's like a whole bunch of stuff that it is such a massive undertaking. I don't think Rockstar would be able to handle it at all. Just
Does
being
it
on my
cost-
side of one city and
Yeah.
the stuff I have to do that is not even like dev stuff. Yeah, Rockstar doesn't have the moral capacity or physical capacity to handle. There is about 50,000 active servers right now. They do not have that.
And real quick,
Does it
so
cost- I'm so sorry. I just want to ask this question really quick. How much does it? Do we have like numbers on how much it costs to run these servers?
It could be a couple hundred to a couple thousand. It is
So are these
very
private
expensive.
servers or are they like? Okay, all right,
Funded
Hey, yeah.
Patreon, donations, all that. But go ahead, B.
got it.
hey Des, real quick. So as somebody on the inside who actually is around projects, right?
Yeah.
With The Last of Us factions being put on ice, what does that mean to you when you hear that?
Usually there could be issues with like just the development of the game. I mean, there's so many different reasons why they can put a game on ice. I know from like working with our development team and working with games, it's a little different in the indie sphere because we don't have the same amount of money. But I really see games moving in the same way that like the industry has done for Hollywood and animation. Like you get hired per project and then you get laid off. So it's not even like you can make like a full career. Like way back in the day, people would like get a job at Disney and like be there forever. You know what I'm saying? Like that was their job, that was their career. And I feel like the game space is moving in that way. They also have a lot of competition from all of these indie games that are constantly being put out there, right? So that's another thing that they didn't have to worry about like 10, 15 years ago. Like AAA was all there was. Now
Yeah.
that's not the case. And you have
Yeah.
games out there coming out from indie developers that are doing better than AAA games because they play
El
better. They don't
Paso elsewhere, but keep going.
they don't have as many bugs. And I also feel like the difference between AAA and indie is that indies are willing to take more chances with games than AAA is. AAA is like, well, we made money off of Tomb Raider 1, and so we'll probably make money off of Tomb Raider 2. So let's just push that out. And it's the same thing that's happening in Hollywood. There's all these remakes and remasters, and I would be the first to say I don't want a fucking other remaster of a game that I love. I don't need it. Like, give me something new. And it's just stale. I feel like AAA is just very stale right now with what they're putting out.
I didn't, and that's actually, before we move on, that's actually a really dope point that I didn't even think about, the competition factor. Because I think back to when I was a kid, if it wasn't being released in physical at a store, you might have seen it. Yeah, right. You might have seen it on newgrounds.com or a random, everybody's playing Counter-Strike back in the day, at least what I remember, Counter-Strike and Diablo. But even the PC gaming, from what I remember when I was younger, was all AAA. Like, it wasn't, like, I don't remember an indie PC scene, at least from what I experienced. I remember mods.
Yeah, well, not even mods. You had some.
Yeah.
back in the
Yeah,
90s, a bunch of companies were trying to get into the game scene. So you had like McDonald's had their game, and
yes.
like
The
another
Sneak
person had
King
their
from
game.
Burger King.
Yeah,
Slack.
but all of those games were being made for specific consoles, right?
Yeah.
So like that's why we have like the console wars and everything. Now that we have PCs and a lot of people are gaming on their PCs, and you have Xbox Game Pass on PC, like there's not that type of competition anymore. People can release their games on any platform, and people are able to play them on almost any platform. So there's a lot of competition out there.
Yeah, and no, and that's definitely an interesting point. And funny enough, rolling into a more simplistic time. So people are complaining about the leaked amount of time it's going to take to complete Spider-Man 2. So apparently it's going to take around, somebody platinumed or got 100 all the achievements or all the trophies in Spider-Man 2 in around 30 hours. Now, for me, that sounds amazing. That in a week of me like grinding it out with snacks, playing Spider-Man 2, I could, if I really wanted to, complete everything as a father and husband and job and all that other fun stuff. Why do you guys think this has been such a problem on the internet? You know, starting with you, Miller. Like, why is there so much, not polarity, is it polarity? Like, why is there so much about this? Like, why is it such a big deal that people are complaining about the runtime of Spider-Man 2 potentially being 30 hours to 100%?
Well, I think people are concerned about, bang for their buck. I think that's really what it comes down to is, well, especially when you look at a sequel, then there's the natural comparison to the game that came before. And if there's a perception that it's less, then it's, that's less game. It's a downgrade. And everybody already has a mind to pick that kind of stuff apart. Like, there's been a lot of viral tweets over the past, 6 months with, comparisons between the two games. But on the premise specifically of platinum the game in 30 hours, did they? Because I heard through the grapevine that didn't happen. That was just a troll. See,
because I'm gonna tell you, Spider-Man is a big game. Even I'm thinking of the 2018 Spider-Man. It is a big game, and not saying it'd be impossible. And of course, we got sweats out there who want to speed run and be the first to everything, but honestly, it's probably a strong chance this is a lie. Because I haven't seen Insomniac come out and say anything. Like,
I wouldn't expect them.
Huh? What'd you say, Des?
How long do people want the game to be?
That's the thing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck are you complaining about? Like, what? How long do you want the game to be? And 30 hours is a long time. And honestly,
that is a very long time.
I feel like this is my thing. Like, just working in the industry, that's probably like the worst backhanded compliment you can get. If the only thing that people are saying about your game is that it's too short, like, they don't care. Because they know that you enjoyed the content of it, and then they'll just, push it over to the next game. But honestly, like, people will find anything to complain about. Like, can you imagine being like, man, I only got to work 30 hours today? Like, nobody's saying shit like that. You know what I mean? Like,
it's true.
It's ridiculous. Like, just enjoy the game. And if it was too short for you, play it again. Then you get 60 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like, shut up.
And I feel like, too, like, if games are supposed to be art, right? There's this big argument over the decades, are games art? If they're art, then let some be short, let some be long. Let that be just one aspect of this experience that they set out to create. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, there are games that are too short to me that just don't have enough content for what they were purporting to offer at the time. The Order 1886 is the big example people usually cite. But I mean, there are games that are extremely long, that are mostly like boring, busy work. Like, it's not that simple. I've loved. I mean, if there was a game that was like a movie thrill ride, every inch of the screen packed to the brim, and I'm just on the edge of my seat, and it's 3 hours long, hooray! Like, you know what I mean? That why not let that be a thing? You know, I don't see the argument against that.
My friend Pedro. That's the game you're looking for.
I love those like the dark anthology games too. You know what I mean? Like, those aren't very long. They're amazing.
Those are creepy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think what was it called? This new indie game that just came out. Oh my god,
Cocoon.
Dave the Diver.
Oh, Dave the Diver. Yeah.
So it's like people really, you know what? I think it's because people have a certain expectation with AAA games versus indie games. Like, you really don't see a lot of people complaining about the time in an indie game, but like everybody assumes like a AAA game needs to be 80 or 70 hours plus. And that's just not what it needs to be. If you're able to tell your story in that amount of time, and like you said, have it jam-packed with action, like you're just go, like, that's amazing. That's incredible. Especially all of y'all complaining, because I already know for a fact that your Steam library is packed with games that you have not played.
Mind your business. Mind your business.
I'm just saying. Why are we complaining? You know, like
I'm gonna
keep it real.
I'm gonna tell you what I really believe made that push, and this is a personal thing for me because I know this game affected how I started purchasing games. Was Bethesda, Morrowind altered my brain chemistry when it came to purchasing games. The idea of being able to do anything and everything for the same price as this 12 to 15 hour linear story, like it definitely, and that's me as a consumer as a kid, so that was an unfair thing, but you know, moments come together and make a whole person, like, you know, and it just, and that, you know, that's something that I still struggle with. And I try to, me as a consumer, that's what I play FIFA and I'll run through a career for 3 seasons in a career, you know, that idea of something just ending is a very weird, but then I got the problem with endings anyway. That's why I like old late 80s movies. Yeah, I hate the endings. I hate endings because it took me like it took me until it got on the Switch to beat Skyrim's main story. Not because I couldn't do it, or it was just I had so much fun and I didn't want it to end. And then I kind of got tortured by Fallout 3 before they added the Broken Steel or whatever, DLC to where you could continue after you beat the game. But yeah, so that's my sad story with endings. But
30 hours.
Bring up an example, because I think you've all played Baldur's Gate 3, right? Or you've all played it a little bit. So like that game itself, if you just do the main story and don't do any of the side quests, that's just under 40 hours.
Damn.
Perfect.
Right? So there's no reason to complain about Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's very linear compared to something like Baldur's Gate, right? You can make Baldur's Gate as long as you want to, because you're over here looting everything and like stealing everything. But like in general, just like a story, like a straight story, I don't think should take 80 hours. Like I'm gonna end up not playing the game anymore.
I had that problem with what's the Odyssey? Is like, how do you make my Roman Empire, Grecian history, something so mind-numbing that I'm like, or Dishonored 2, get me to the end of this game and get me out of here.
Oh my gosh.
Like, don't make that type of game either. And I kind of felt that with Redfall too. It's like, get me out of here. I'm not enjoying it.
I was definitely racing toward, and then when you find out it's not the end, oh my god. Okay, Miller, did you play Redfall?
No, I couldn't bring that upon myself.
No,
but
you get to a point. No. So the game has this weird moment. You know what it feels like? It feels like the game opens up to like a multiplayer world. That's like you beat the game. Now here's what else you can do, but you didn't beat the game. You feel like you did everything. Like you leave Redfall. You're not even in Redfall after.
That reminds me of Lord of the Rings. There was like 5 different endings. Like I kept getting up to leave the theater, and then there was another ending. Do you guys remember that? I don't know if you stayed for the whole thing, but I got up the first time. I was like, yo, that was a good ass movie, and then it just kept going. I was like, oh, wait a minute.
He's on falling down the whole Balrog like you thought that was the end.
To throw back to
Like,
what
oh yeah,
you said about it being a good people wanting their money. If the game is a end game level type of game where I need to see what's happening, I'm gonna be there. I will pay the $90, whatever it is. I will be there because I feel like I'm getting for 30 hours. I got life. That's great. But if you're gonna Harry Potter me the final movie and split it into 2 sections and the first one's boring, then don't do that to me. Give me a narrative experience that is full, that is healthy, that builds on what you already have. Because I really enjoyed the story of the first one. And we know that they're going to put out some really good quality work. So if you are concerned with it being 30 hours, share some of your time with me because I need some time management skills. And if you're not bothered by it, you were going to buy this game already and the narrative leaks, whatever, just go enjoy the game. Because
no, just enjoy the game.
Comic book game. It's based on comic books that were written like 40 years ago. We know what's going to happen. It's not like it's being spoiled.
People come through
so
with
just
spoilers.
go play it.
I can't believe you spoiled the game.
Yeah. Did you
Well,
have you ever
something
read
like 50 years ago?
Yeah. It's predetermined.
You know what? Damn, that's Spider-Man is okay. I don't, first and foremost, outside of the backlog, outside of the fact that most people are not gonna even beat the game, the main story, because most people don't beat their games. Spoiler alert, folks, most people do not beat games. Like, that is a fact. You can go through, pick any game on Steam, any game on Xbox, any game on PlayStation, and go see the completion rate. Most people don't complete games.
Not only that, but like there'll be that for that one achievement that's like you just started up the game basically. Like, you're welcome, and it's like 79%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's out to grab your attention, or you're just over it. Like, I'm not even over Baldur's Gate, but I've stopped at chapter 2, and I don't know when I'm gonna go.
Same here. It's so many other games, and then of course reviews and all that other stuff. But and then Starfield came out.
Yeah, Starfield. I downloaded it. I haven't even started it yet because I don't want to lose my life to it. And I
bro, it's the magnum opus
gamers. We're all fake.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
dude, I have Humble Bundle, and do you know when's the last time I redeemed it and downloaded a game?
Oh my god!
Do you know?
I have the Humble Bundle for COVID. I have not opened any of those games. And they gave
Wasn't that the bundle that was like 1,000 in there?
Yeah, they're like it was too much, but I wanted to be supportive. But like, no.
I think I bought 2 of those. Itch.io, or I bought like 2 of those, and
2,000.
I don't even know where they. But I like to frame that. And I like to say that because it's a thing people within the Twitter space talk about as if it's just common that everybody beats the games they buy. No, they don't. Like that, it's actually more rare for games to get beat. Like that is, there's just too much going on. And Lord forbid you play any MMOs. Lord forbid you play anything like any live service game that you really invest in. Like, I know people who play Warzone. I mean, hell, Warzone, they just dropped some more skins. You got Alucard and whatnot from like it just.
It's true.
No, but this is what I'm saying. Yeah, like, so how do you?
And you know what else?
How do you expect me to go?
You don't have enough time. You're gonna die and have games in your library that have never been played, and I made my peace with that. Like, I'm good with that.
You know how many games I have sealed?
Yeah, don't even tell me. I still have systems that are bots, so you already know. You already know. My like horrible gamer confession is that sometimes I'll be playing a game and I'll get tired of playing it, but I want to see the ending, so I'll watch somebody else play it on YouTube.
Oh, I do that too.
Yep. Yeah,
we're all guilty.
Yeah, we're horrible.
Like, Martha is dead. I was like, nah, let me just go ahead and watch somebody play that.
Let me watch the video.
Through though, that one was wild.
It was dark. It was dark.
You know what also people don't talk about, and surprisingly in our day and age, a lot of things that contribute to this: mental illness, man. because I started playing Division 2 right around the Panasonic, and I was like, I cannot play this game. This is bad. I cannot be in this mindset. There's a couple other games, like Last of Us, I had trouble playing because I'm like, ooh, I can't. This is too close to real life. I can't be doing this. I don't feel right. And those indie games that have said some things and done some things, I'm like, I'm not in the headspace. That's why Fate can't go back
what
and
is it?
play.
Doki Doki? What's that game called?
Ooh, Doki Doki made me very uncomfortable.
I didn't know what it was, and you guys know Matt, Matt from when I did Burnout Rider. They were like, hey, you should play this game because it's creepy, and we know you don't like creepy games. But like, listen, I have anxiety to the point where I think I've done something wrong. So I kept trying to figure out how to go back, and then the game is meta, and then it just completely messes you up. And I was playing it in the dark at like 1 a.m. at night. Yo, game really messed me up. If you guys never played it, spoiler alert, but like a lot of people die in it, and there's really nothing you can do. And it's like,
and if it's
nothing you can do.
It's framed as like a anime, Made in the Abyss. It's framed as like a cute kids thing, or like consequences, and then it turns into this horrible thing, and you have to bear with that because you're not ready.
Right, and then you can't go back. I will tell you the most effed up scene, and I'm sorry I'm spoiling this, but where the girl like stabs herself to death, and then you just sitting there like the whole time. You can't click out of the screen. Like you sit there 24 hours, and like the light changes and everything goes from day to night, and you're just sitting there with her dead body, and you can't do anything. Like you can't click out of the game. You can't start it over. Like,
I'm not here for Stockholm Syndrome. I'm good.
It's a crazy game. It looks so cute, but it is a crazy game.
Damn. So moving forward, okay, holy crap. So we're in the final minutes, and we talked about everything other than what we were supposed to, which is always a good time. No, that's what I was about to do. I was just about to go into it.
Because the Avengers is still a topic, and I was hoping we'd just stretch it out and somebody get famous.
Right? Fame! No, but no, I remember being made fun of for saying that the Portal was going to do well. And whether it's going to do well to consumer ignorance or to the fact that a lot of people actually enjoy remote playing. I'm one of those weirdos. And let me tell you, being able to play games like FIFA or Starfield, or back when I was playing Baldur's Gate 3 from my living room while my kids run around watching whatever they're watching on Netflix, but still being able to be within the realm of my family and not having to be in my office with my setup to enjoy these games. So now knowing that that's going to be a option that was created solely for the PlayStation experience, I could totally see this being something that works. And as it's really starting to manifest, PlayStation is proving itself as the Apple of the gaming industry, and people will buy anything that PlayStation puts out that's for PlayStation. Ta-da!
They didn't buy the Vita.
No, they didn't buy the games. No, no, you're right. They didn't buy the Vita. Poor Vita. Well, and it did everything that we want the Portal to do.
Yes.
That's the crazy part.
Yes.
It was a controller. It was a controller. Yeah.
Right after the PSP, and they were still selling the PSP, so people were like, "Why are you releasing this?" And we still have the PSP because it wasn't too far. It wasn't too far apart from when they released the Vita.
I think the biggest issue with the Vita, honestly, and I know this is like a side topic, but is
go for it. This fits.
The proprietary memory cards killed it. Like they were so expensive, and the failure rate on them was like 50%. Like it's ridiculous. It was theft. Like it's just awful. And again, completely proprietary, so you had to buy them from Sony. And no third-party SD card converter hit the market until years after the Vita had already died. Like, it was just a terrible investment to get a Vita, really. It really just showed, like, Sony hates you. And
their Apple roots started at the Vita? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I think Sony lucks out into being, like, I don't know. They are sort of reactionary, like they do sort of respond to the trends, but they're very not liquid, but they flow very easily. They're very reactive. They can get there quickly. You know what I mean? They're not usually the last to a trend, and so I think it allows them to always at least be second place when like something happens. They're never like out of the conversation, or at least not in the last decade and some change.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
But I mean, when it comes to the portal, like you could already do that with your phone. Like, you know that, right? Like,
let me tell you, you're absolutely right. But I don't want to be bouncing. Okay, for example, I'm thinking in terms of using Game Pass. I don't want to be on my phone because I have the G Cloud. I bought the Logitech G Cloud, which I need to make a video review since I've had it for so many months now. I was pointing at myself. But I need to. And here we go. Thank God. Finally, I can stop talking.
No, I insist you finish your point.
Okay. So we have there is a big space for remote play. As a gamer, as a diehard gamer who has 1.5 million responsibilities that include little people running around that I need to somewhat keep an eye on, otherwise them folks come and get them. The idea of having my game in my hand while still having my emails, while still having my Discord, while still having all these other things on my phone. Maybe I got my audiobook in, while not having to disconnect from the game, from that thing. So having something that's quote unquote built for the game.
I just want to say, like, it's the same argument for owning an MP3 player.
Yes.
Like, yeah, but like I don't want to use my phone for that. I want a dedicated device for my music. And like, yeah, there's absolutely an audience for that, but it's tiny. Like I think once the novelty of the portal wears off, and let's be honest, they're doing an amiibo print run for this thing where like you make just enough that you know for a fact they'll sell out, so that you can talk about how much they've sold out and you can build that manufactured hype around it. Like, I think there's going to be a whole lot of them sitting in scalpers' basements. Like, I don't think anybody actually cares about this device. I think it's completely useless. I mean, buy a backbone for $20 and use your phone. Like, and I think it's interesting. Like, for Christ's sake, I own a Wii U. Like, I get the appeal of remote play. I think it's cool. Yeah. But I mean, like, so doesn't it Sony and Microsoft, and that's why you could already use your phone. Like, I think I don't understand. It reminds me of like those ridiculous like screens for your console. You know, the ones that like stick on the back of the console.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, there's a market for that. I'm sure they'll sell hundreds. You know, like.
You didn't have to use it like that.
Not hundreds.
It's niche. I'm glad they're. I want to say, like, these are huge corporations, and I wish that they would explore the niche more. Like, like when Microsoft did like the controller for people, like the accessibility controller.
Yes.
Amazing initiative. You know what I mean? Like, it's for a small group of people, but they need it, and that's something that really benefits them. I love those ideas, and I wish that they would do that more. Great, but I'm not going to entertain the idea that this is a mass market product. 99% of people won't care about Portal, never will.
Yeah,
cool though.
When they make these decisions, like, they do take that into account. Like, you know, we're only producing this many of this product for the Western world versus we're going to produce this many, because Japan loves. They love.
And those are the ones who it sold, where apparently it sold.
Yeah. But so I'm wondering.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I reject the idea that Japan has a more prime market for the Portal. To me, the opposite. Like, Japanese real estate lends itself to small apartments. You are very rarely in a room in your home in Japan, unless you have a lot of money, that is not like your main area with a television. Like, you don't need remote. It's not internet-based remote play with like satellites and stuff and you're running around outside. Like, the whole idea is you're at home or you're in a place with Wi-Fi. And granted, maybe you're at work, like, you know, there are satellite sort of spots, But like,
it doesn't even let you remote in. You got to be on the same
I
network.
totally agree
like you
with
can see your TV from your bathroom in the average Japanese apartment. Like you don't. It's
But I would agree with you. The only reason why I'm not is because the numbers show that in Japan it's selling. So there must be something there that we don't know, But I do. That does make sense.
I think it's consumer ignorance. To be honest with you,
I was gonna say,
it could just be. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Now I said, could it just be that the Japanese market is just almost just like the American market, to where they just see Sony, like they see Apple, and it's like, oh, it's a Sony product, let me go buy it, and not realize later on, like, wait a minute, this is not what I thought it was. Because let's keep it $1.50 and a half. A lot of the people here in America, most of the people who game are casuals, so they see a new PlayStation. I'm on TikTok religiously. You don't know how many people I've seen saying, "Oh my God, look, a new PSP."
Yeah.
Not telling
and
people
that's not even at all what it is.
So they're gonna go out because they're hearing new PSP. They're seeing Sony, right? And Sony's like Apple. People got a brand new iPhone 14. Who went and pre-ordered the 15 the moment they could because it's PlayStation, because it's Apple. They went and got the new Apple Watch, the new Apple toilet paper, everything Apple. They're gonna go get it, right? And I think PlayStation is the same way. So a lot of people are gonna buy this thing, and it's almost gonna be like the PSVR 2. Like, oh damn, this is dope because it's a Sony product. And then they realize, okay, this isn't what I thought it was. But even more so because you know what VR is, right? But this is not the PSP, and a lot of people are being. You ever heard of the phrase toxic positivity?
Yep.
That's a real thing, right? And people tell you, "Oh my God, look at this new PlayStation handheld! It's so great! It's the newest, hottest thing in the world," because they want you to go out and buy it like they're buying it. So their positivity is toxic because they're not going to truly tell you what this device is, because people understand that ignorance for people is bliss, and they prefer to be ignorant and just spend their money than to actually look into what they're buying.
Then the price points.
Hello, everybody.
Know enough about Japanese culture. I don't know enough about Japanese culture to sit here and say that that's exactly what they're doing. I do know that they're heavily into gaming. I do know that that's always been a thing for them. You can go to their little stores. They have all kinds of games still there, lots of handhelds, things that we can't get over here. So I don't want to sit there and be like, it's probably all chalked up to ignorance. That's why they're buying these things, because they seem to do a lot more research when it comes to their games and consoles than the average American. I feel like the average American, who we say is like a casual gamer, are moms and dads who are buying a lot of these games for their kids and things like that. So I think what will happen in the end is that in a few months we'll see what the returns are like and see people complaining about it, and then that will really tell us how other countries are reacting to this, but especially Japan, since it's why not the shelves there. I agree.
It's an unnecessary device.
I'm not
it's
gonna
doing the
buy
same
it.
thing your phone is doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna buy it.
They made a branded backbone. You know what I mean? They could charge $80 for it. It's $20 worth of plastic, but they sell it for $80. That I just feel like that's a better product. I don't get it.
It never makes sense that they've never partnered this and pushed their Xperia phones, because their Xperia phones are really good. And
thank you.
Built in. I used to have an Xperia for
thought.
years. And
I love Sony phones. They're the best. They're the best Android phones, bar none. When Sony left the phone market in Canada, I turned my back on Android. I'm not going to Samsung. I'm over it. Yeah. But yeah, when they left the Canadians,
light up. You see her face?
You guys are everywhere.
Honestly, it's true. We're taking over. Oh, really?
No, because the only other one I know for sure is Matt from Burnout Brighter, is confirmed Canadian.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody else is all American or European here.
Oh, wow.
Canadian too.
Look, now you got Miller. Look at you.
Now you got Miller.
Yeah.
now you got Miller. Hey, B, I appreciate you holding down the fort. I mean,
horribly. I don't know why you
how's
keep
the show
letting me
been
do
going,
this.
man? Because I couldn't even listen to the show. My hands were working. These soft, unused hands were actually doing some work, man. And can you believe it?
Oh, bro, I don't know about
these
all
hands
that.
are meant for consoles.
Yeah, I hold controllers, not
That's
tools.
it.
I don't. Screwdriver. Why do you think I buy pre-built PCs? Are you kidding me?
Where are we?
We're all
Not
with
to
buying a
tell.
pre-built PC as long as you tell them what you want it to do.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Look,
Where
that too. Where we at? We were at the end. You guys were getting ready to talk about the Avengers, and I was gonna log off.
do not leave. Do not leave. You know what, Miller? Here's the thing about Avengers, and it being delisted hurt. Mind you, I sort of stopped playing it well before, but Barry and them saw the amount of time I put into this game, and I actually convinced them to go and play it because that story is worth. I tell people when it got delisted, it was $5 or $4. The story alone is worth the price to admission. How you feel about the multiplayer and the game as a service aspect of it is what it is. Oh, wait a minute, Baron. Before we get into that, we were giving away a Modern Warfare 3 beta code for PS5.
Oh yeah, let me drop that.
Have we done that yet?
No,
All right.
I'm
I
glad
do
you
wanna- I do
popped up
wanna
because I
drop
almost forgot. I'm gonna just drop it in
Yeah,
there.
I forgot it in chat.
What? No, we don't just drop it randomly.
Yeah, I'm gonna just drop it randomly in there. Yeah,
And let
Oh
them
crap!
fight.
Get ready, everybody.
Let
yeah,
All right.
100%.
All right. I
Copy.
guess it's about to randomly be dropped in chat in 5, 4.
And guess what?
Three.
The last character is a number.
See, that's how you
Good
do
luck.
it.
Oh wow!
The,
Yeah, last
the
character is a
character
number.
Is a number. That's
There's a
good
number
way of
missing
doing
at
it.
the
I
end.
like that. All right.
pretty good.
I'm gonna
You guys
copy
You
that.
only have like
You got
Nine characters to go through, or 10.
Yeah.
10 because
Good
of
luck.
0.
Yeah.
Again, the last thing missing is a number.
That's
There you
funny.
go.
Say in
That's
chat
fair.
if you're the one who
Enjoy
gets
yourself.
it.
See,
Yeah,
this is.
yeah.
I'm gonna be
Yeah,
honest.
let us know.
I'm gonna be honest. This is why I could never be dirty rich, and it's probably why I'll never win the lotto because I would do evil shit like this on a
You
religious
would be the
basis.
black Mr. Beast, but like you'd be doing like
It'd be a lot more fun.
I think if this is your idea of something evil, I think you would be like the least evil rich
The
person.
least evil, yeah.
Okay,
This
so
is nothing.
If this is your definition of evil, I would have swam down myself to get you from that submarine. If it's like Titanic, I would have come for you.
Ah,
I would have
Still
got your
talking.
ass.
But see, but this-
TikTok.
But let me tell you how it starts though. Somebody mentioned Hunger Games, the cornucopia of Hunger Games. This is slowly what it leads into. So you guys are watering this tree, and then I'm gonna win this billion, and then all of a sudden it's gonna be
Oh,
Hunger
no.
Games for the districts.
If you got it, let us know. It's the PS5 code, by the way.
Oh yeah, I should have
But,
said
yeah.
that. Obviously, it's PS5. Sorry guys.
Yes, it's PS5. Sorry, it's a PlayStation heavy
Yeah.
show today. It's crazy, right? And now people looking at us the Xbox guys, right? But Avengers, when it got delisted, before I tell people go and spend the $3, $4, whatever it was, because I don't think any character legit tried all 10 digits.
Try 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh, maybe somebody already grabbed it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
somebody
somebody
probably got it.
Grab it.
Hey, let us know if you guys are still in the chat if you got it. Somebody probably grabbed it.
Hey, B, is this the same code you sent me earlier?
Should be.
I was just trying to compare and contrast because that's the right code.
Let me see. Yeah.
Somebody probably got it.
Got it.
Let me
Somebody
know.
had this.
It went to
Oh,
a
yeah.
lurker.
Yeah. And
Probably
if you don't
did.
want to let us know, send us on Twitter. You can find us. All of our handles are below, and let one. of
And
us
it
know
is
about
for
it.
the PlayStation code. So it's the PlayStation.
A lurker probably got it. Like, oh, that's what I came for. But listen, yes, it's gone. It's a game that I loved. I poured countless amount of hours into. Miller, you don't understand how your tweets were on alert for me, like constantly, like looking to see if you would post something new, whether it's about a new character. When you posted about the whole thing with She-Hulk, like Baron makes fun of me all the time. He's like, "Oh, how many times you gonna play the Hulk and Thor? Like you're playing the same characters over and over." I was like, Wait till Miller say something about it because it's gonna be like that's really how it was, right? I was constantly playing that game, and I tell people all the time, the story alone is worth the price to admission. And I do want to ask Baron Hugger and Des first, for people who weren't into Avengers like myself and Miller were, if you could say this is the reason why this game failed, because you can, even the multiplayer aspect of it, to me, I didn't find the game bad. I love the game. I love the multiplayer aspect of it. Me and my buddies played all the freaking time. I do have some issues with it, but some of the raids took too long to come out, and they got redundant after a while. But for people who didn't play it, like, because this was a hyped game. Like, this game was hyped to infinity, right? And PlayStation even backed on and said, hey, you know, we want marketing rights because we're going to have Spiderman, and he's going to be a character you can't get on Xbox, even though he's going to come out years later and he's going to be janky. This was a very hyped game and anticipated game. But for the people who really wasn't into it like that, why do y'all think this game failed?
Okay, there's just too many other games to play, and I don't think they were dropping content fast enough or hyping it up. I think it was a marketing thing, in my opinion. I don't necessarily, because I've never heard anybody say the game sucks because like this.
They always go with the gas aspect of it.
Yeah, but then people play Destiny, but then people still play KOTOR, but then people play. So when it comes to a live service game like this failing, I truly chunk it up to marketing and taking too long to get out meaningful content.
Because you know a lot of and I think me and Hugger talked about this around, a lot of people's butthurt was from also they didn't like the character model.
Yeah.
Because
I was going to say that. For me, it was a visual thing. I do not like the character model.
That's real, bro.
That was
but that's real, because
like,
most people were
from the
play
movie,
weren't comics. They weren't comic fans.
Mm-hmm.
They were
I was a comic fan, but like coming from the movie and then playing the game, because the game seemed like it would be more based off of what we had just experienced in the movie, even though it was telling the comic story, right? So like when I looked at it, I was like, that doesn't look like the characters that I thought it looked like, and it kind of just turned me off from it. Like it not that the game is terrible. I'll watch somebody play it.
Just for a decade we saw these characters be
the story was great.
I believe it. I believe the story was great, but I'll probably just watch somebody play it, honestly.
I think
arcade,
and there's too many games. So
I think that's a bigger part. It's too many games, and then the marketing. The marketing like died once it released, in my opinion. That I feel like you gotta constantly kind of push that. And it's such a big brand, and why didn't it have anything tied to like McDonald's or something? I don't know. Like you would think with the Marvel, because wasn't that around the height of Marvel?
Everything used to be tied to McDonald's.
Yeah,
you made it.
If you had stuff, still like in the Infinity Saga when this came out.
Yeah, no, but this is what I'm saying. This is the high. Like, why wasn't there some type of tie-in? Not tie-in. I don't know. I feel like there was too much Marvel stuff at the peak of Marvel Cinematic Universe for there not to be a little like not so much a direct tie-in, but something. But yeah, that's my thought. I really do believe marketing plays a big part too.
So marketing, and so go ahead. I was just about to swing to you, Miller, because I know we talked about the marketing thing, and I know some people may have looked past the gas if their Iron Man was RDJ. From your perspective, what went wrong with the disconnect between the mass market and CD Projekt Red with Avengers?
Well, I think to be clear, I think the game underperformed day one. So I think it's a misnomer to look at post-launch content delays as a reason for the game underperforming, because the game had already underperformed before any of those delays had ever become clear.
Mm-hmm.
Like when the game launched, the last official statement we had, it launched in September, was Kate Bishop is coming in October and Clint Barton is coming in November. And that was the last thing that did not happen, but that was the last thing that we'd heard. So for the game to still underperform at that point, it looked like the pipeline was quite full and people didn't care. I think it's absolutely it's easy to point to, there's a couple factors. One, COVID killed the game's big showcase that they had planned for E3 2019 or 2020. when they did this big war table and they showed off the Thor solo mission on top of that helicarrier and the thing, that was made for a big E3 showcase. They lost that. I think the reception had always been kind of poor from the perspective of like, it's sort of this gritty, realistic, like real world kind of take on this in a gas, and it's like, we have too many of those already. And also, I think the IP is a bad fit for a looter. Like, the gear is like, here is Hulk's rib cage. Like, it's like, who's rib shit? Like, that's fucking stupid. And also, the open beta left a really bad impression on people. I think they showed off a little more than I expected. I think I would have preferred something a little smaller that was a little less like, here's what you're gonna, because like you got through a couple story missions and then you had a couple gas missions to repeat as you wanted during the course of the closed beta, the open beta. And we didn't realize at the time, like, here is Avengers gameplay loop. You know what I mean? Like,
this is the game.
Yeah, like, I think people were nervous about that. They didn't really see at that point, like, oh no, that's literally it. It was death by 1,000 cuts, you know? There was very little that wasn't going wrong at that point for the game. I think the marketing was very aggressive at that point, but some of it was really misguided. Like, some of the partnerships were fucking stupid. Like, they had a partnership with Vizio.
What?
And Square Enix.
McDonald's.
There's a Square Enix thing. Square Enix maintained that partnership with Vizio for several games, which was really dumb. Ironically, the most successful partnership of all was with Wrigley and their 5 Gum, like the branded 5 Gum, because Wrigley showed up for Avengers. Wrigley paid like Lily Pichu, a bunch of big streamers to play Avengers because, honey, they had gum to sell, okay? Like, that gum was not selling. They needed to sell that damn gum. Like, Crystal Dynamics wasn't doing that. And Wrigley was doing it with the frickin' gum. Like,
that's wild.
That was the best of them all.
Damn.
They had, because the game was coming out, like, was slated for September, they had a bunch of Halloween costumes planned with Party City. That shrunk and shrunk and shrunk as that relationship soured until finally you got this very lopsided child Iron Man, child Iron Man, adult Iron Man, and child Hulk, and that's it. And it was like supposed to be child and adults of everyone, and it just dwindled down over and over.
I think I remember that Party City ad, like where it had.
They
like,
never advertised it.
Oh no! With those characters, I thought they were doing Thriller, and they were mixed into the. Like, I remember a big commercial, and they were. I could just be fever dream, but I remember.
Effect?
I think that's like a Party City thing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
They in fact, the Party City collaboration with Marvel's Avengers, like 99% of their collaborations were never announced. They never got a press release. They never tweeted about any of them. The only promotions that they advertised in any capacity were the Intel one, because Intel had a bunch of marketing rights mixed up in it, and they were pushing it. I guess the book, but then when they did the audiobook, they never announced that technically, which is very odd, and it came out 2 years later. And then
the ball, like, completely, like, across the board.
It's really absurd how much went wrong. I mean, a lot of it is biting off more than they could chew. And like, I mean, this isn't uncommon for AAA games. Final Fantasy VII Remake had a collaboration with Butterfinger. Like, you know, yes, this is a thing. Like, I have a bag of Starfield Doritos in my closet right now. Like, this is some stupid shit that AAA gaming does, and I don't know why they do it. But at least when you do it, you pick partnerships that make sense. And so many of them didn't make sense.
Yeah, it's really, really big in Japan and South Korea and Asian countries. Like, they do all kinds of, like, weird stuff. Like, I bought a bunch of Pringles that are all for Super Mario. Yeah, I don't know how they do it. Probably because it's cheap to do it, but like they do all kinds of like marketing with them.
Yeah, like they'll collab with a couple brands and like a convenience store chain. And convenience stores are really ubiquitous in Japan, and they'll have like a big like display with all this kind of thing, you know what I mean? And it was just so mismanaged. Like I really quite like there's issues with Crystal Dynamics, but when it came to how Avengers launched, ironically, I think the biggest failings came from Square Enix Europe. Square Enix Europe management, they've made some mistakes over the years. And it's ironic too, when Embracer acquired the entire Square Enix Europe umbrella, they brought over a bunch of the management, which is very weird. So there's a couple people that still have their positions maintaining all of these now semi-unconnected, like there's no formal connection between these studios anymore, other than these people whose job it is to manage them in some capacity nobody really understands. It's really odd. And also too, like, I don't know how great of a job any of them did. I don't get why they're still there. And one of the studios got shut down. Like they already closed Crystal Dynamics Montreal, was it? Or Square Enix Montreal?
Yeah.
Yep.
They shut them down. Like, I don't get it. Frankly, I'll just spoiler alert. I think the whole thing's going under. I don't see Crystal Dynamics lasting another 4 years. I just don't see it.
I still say because right now they're working with Microsoft to do.
Are they? Like,
yeah.
I don't want to be doom. This is going to be the thing that gets the headlines. I don't want to be doom and gloom here, but like, like it seems to me like they're building up a third project right now. And they frankly don't have the staff for one AAA game, let alone 3. Like, or I should say 2.5, because they're doubling up with the initiative on Perfect Dark, but like...
And they're a big part of that. Like, they are a major part, because the initiative lost so many people. And so Matt Gallagher?
Daryl Gallagher?
Daryl Gallagher, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, let's bring over CD. And CD is a major part of Perfect Dark right now. Like,
CD was his studio. He used to be the head of studio at Crystal Dynamics, and when he left, they promoted Ron Rosenberg, who infamously gave the quote about protect Lara from being graped. If you remember that from the reboot press campaign, that was that genius. That genius is the one who did that. So they promoted him. And Scott Amos, and in sort of like this twin position, because it's very emblematic of Crystal Dynamics that you got 2 people to do one job in an executive role, but when it comes to actually developing a game, you get 1 person to do 3 people's work.
Yeah.
So
so America.
Exactly.
Capitalism. Let's do it.
Yeah. I don't see them lasting particularly long, and frankly, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't see a Perfect Dark developed by Crystal Dynamics and the initiative ever coming out.
Yeah,
I don't see it. I don't see it.
Sir.
That project is so cursed. Like,
for the longest time, Phil Hogan kept telling us this game is not real. Plenty of podcasts
it was even real. Like,
it was rumored, and they finally announced.
Hogan
was like,
real.
"I'll believe it when I can play it in my hand."
You know why I say that?
Miller, don't break our hearts, dude.
Now, where's Beyond Good and Evil 2? I got my facts. Like, I know what happens to games that I fall in love with. We're scalebound.
Don't mention scalebound.
But I mean, you haven't fallen in love with Perfect Dark. You've never even seen it. Like, this game was a dream. Wow, well, we've got that in common, I guess.
Let me ask you this, Miller. So, the Avengers was a failure. It was a failure.
I mean, I want to actually, before we move on, I want to say, yes, Avengers did underperform day 1, and everybody points to the first quarterly earnings report from Square Enix that covered through to September and ended in September. Like, it was before the game's first holiday season, and they talked about how the game performed. And that was the last time they've ever been candid about how the game performed. And even then, it wasn't really reflected in their numbers. They just sort of gave some quotes behind the scenes, and those got carried and made the rounds in the press. The game, in my opinion, I think creative accounting aside, I think they were probably in the black by the end of that like holiday season.
Damn.
Because like, the game did very well its first holiday season. It did very well its first holiday season. I mean, the license is very expensive, and development did continue for a while. I think they might have ended up going back into the red, like going into War for Wakanda. But I think by the time all was said and done,
is that when they tried to make us buy for Boost, Miller? Was that around that time? Remember they had to pay for Boost.
That was after War for Wakanda came out. It was, that was a disaster.
Bro, that pissed a lot of people off.
And rightfully so. And I don't know. To this day, I've never heard exactly who made the call, but and I don't want to kick anybody while they're down, but it's very Brian Wagner, as somebody who did a lot of the monetization in Marvel Heroes Omega, and has a background in finance, and was personally really trying to get some capital going to flesh out their content schedule. That really strikes me as something that came from him. And it was a terrible idea.
For those who went around, they made it more difficult to get XP. Like they throttled it. And so how they counteracted it was, hey, pay for double XP or pay for triple XP. Like that's what they did, and it was bull.
It's important to note though that the incompetence, and I say this with love. I say this with love. Everybody who's ever talked to me at Crystal Dynamics, like one-on-one, you know I love you. You know where I'm coming from when I say this. This isn't your decision. The incompetence at Crystal Dynamics from directors knows no limits. Like, they could not even do that well. Like, how they nerfed XP to then introduce boosters didn't really do anything. Like, they were the ones who made this big stink about, like, we've changed the curve and it doesn't work like that anymore. And because players were getting confused with so many skill points, and it was like the worst statement I've ever read. That was such an unforced error because they kind of didn't. Like, from anybody who was playing the game consistently at that point could tell you, the net slowdown from that change was like nothing. Like, it was so negligible. They just walked into this massive controversy for no reason.
Jesus.
And I mean, do maybe they think it nerfed it more than it did? Probably, because there were a lot of changes like that over the course of its lifespan. Like and I just tweeted about this recently, the onboarding update that they did, that they spent a whole ton of money on, and it was like a big marquee like 0.0 update. And the whole concept of it was, new players are getting confused. We need to bring them into the multiplayer side of this game because this is a multiplayer game first. And it was so inherently flawed that what they accomplished was new players being unable to experience the story chronologically. You had to get spoilers to get to later story events. Like, they were unavoidable.
Yeah.
So the game just broke itself. It was so stupid. Like, there's just a lot of stuff like that in Avengers where they just walk into the stupidest decisions. And I can tell you from talking to people who are unfortunately being told to make this stuff, they hated it more than we did. Like, this is their resume, you know what I mean? And Crystal Dynamics is the kind of developer where lower rung employees have less autonomy than is average in the industry. Creative decisions come from the top. You know what I mean? Like, the people who are making this, more so than you would expect in gaming, which is already saying something, have no control and very often hate it.
Let me ask you this.
Sorry, that's a downer. Yeah, go ahead.
With Avengers being what it was, right? I just recently downloaded Gotham Knights because it came in the Game Pass. I was interested in it because of my love for the Avengers. But we got the Suicide Squad really that had to go into hiding. Do you think because of what happened to the Avengers that we'll never truly see a superhero game be successful in this sort of mashup gas genre? Like, did this kind of ruin it for? Because I don't know if Suicide Squad gets this much hate had it not been for the failures of the Avengers.
Well, let's be honest. Let's not lie to ourselves. Gotham Knights wasn't great. Like,
I haven't played it.
I mean,
I downloaded it.
Me neither. I avoided
Yeah,
it.
I'm gonna
I
play it.
avoided it.
like, don't get me wrong. Like, is there good work there by very talented people? Yes. Like, you don't hire schmucks off the street. Like, these are genius artists and developers that are neglecting seeing their families out of passion to make this thing. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't mean nothing. They come up with interesting things that can be beautiful to the eye. But, you know, when every game is like that, naturally there is then a scale between them. So some are inherently worse than others. And Gotham Knights has that stupid shoehorned in gas bullshit of like, oh, this arm gives me 2.6% ether defense, and it's like, I don't care. Like, it's so soulless. Like, there's zero passion behind it. It's very obvious. If you ever hear the developers who are behind like that aspect of it speak at length about their jobs, they sound miserable. Like, this isn't why they wanted to get into gaming. You know what I mean? Like, the job prospects that doing that opens up are like working at a casino. You know what I mean? Like, it's not fun. There's nothing about it that's fun. And games are supposed to be fun or something, right? And so I feel like when that's like a major core of your design, inherently you're creating something that isn't fun. You know, it's just not fun. And so, is there beautiful stuff in Gotham Knights? Yes, but I'd love to see people soften up to it, especially as it shows up on Game Pass. Great. You know, there were a lot of people who will have an easier time job hunting when the opinion on that game sort of turns around a little bit. But, you know, at the end of the day, it wasn't great. And I feel like when it comes to Suicide Squad, yeah, it does seem like Suicide Squad is pulling away from Avengers Shadow. But they weren't the only ones. We've played 20 games by now that were like, I mean, if you think about Destiny, right? Or no, let's go back even further. Rock Band, right? Guitar Hero blows up. Where's my rhythm game? Where's your rhythm game? Get on the rhythm game, you know? And so then you have this rush of them. But sometimes that rush happens and people are already sick of it, you know? So then you've got like 8 games in development that are AAA, and these big publishers have to be like, ta-da! And they land with a thud because nobody cares. And big AAA publishers have been through this so many times that they've kind of grown savvy to it. They sort of see this coming in advance. So there's this sense of like, let's pivot. Like, let's change. Uh-oh. And sometimes it's just in the marketing, which is really funny, where they're like, that's not a live service. What are you, live service? Come on. No, this is a game with free periodic downloadable content. You know what I mean? Like, it's bizarre. But oftentimes they genuinely do pivot. And I'm curious to see how much Suicide Squad pivots. But I think when, you know, we're in this hobby, we just got announced the other day the 3DS and Wii U online services are ending in April. Like, that's a whole generation of games from the tentpole publisher dead. If any of those games were online only, they're gone. They're gone. The people who worked on that don't have anything to show for it. You know, they got some YouTube videos. It's gone. And I feel like we're creating this culture. You know, this is what brings us together as humans. This is this media that we enjoy, this tenet of the human experience that these artists are creating that we love so much. And it's just piss in the wind. Like, it's gone. Sometimes after like a year. Like, I think, frankly, it's inappropriate to release an online only game. And I think it's easy to get lost in the minutia of like, you know, oh, what, you have the internet and you know, that whole conversation around it. But it's secondary to like the people who are making it, who are clocking 16-hour shifts for months at a time to make this thing, who are like killing themselves to make this thing truly. Like, you know, You have 24 hours in a day, 8 hours of sleep, ideally 8 hours of work, 8 hours of life. Like it's a third of your life is this work at minimum.
Yeah.
And this is hundreds of people pouring their souls into this thing that they're creating. These are artists, and it's just gone forever. Like that's so inappropriate and sad. It's like,
Damn.
and it's not even a statement. It's not like a Banksy that tosses itself into a shredder. You know, like it's not not like that's the point. Although now that I say that, that would be very interesting for a guest to do that.
Nintendo already did it. Nintendo already did it with that Mario game they released, and then you couldn't get it, and then it stopped existing or whatever.
The physical game, Mario something.
Yeah, the Mario. It was 2 years ago. Yeah, they already did that. They pulled a Banksy. Yeah, the All-Star historical classic that just stopped existing like 6 months.
Companies like Rockstar that if you leave before the project's finished, they will take your name off of the credits.
Yeah, we're so
years
sick.
Of your life gone, and you have nothing to show for it. That's evil. Like honestly, to me, when it comes down to conversations around gas and stuff, I always approach it from this perspective of well, I'm not a class trader. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in it with you guys. Like, I'm for the developers first and foremost. Whatever is their benefit is my benefit, and that's always got to be my perspective. So, I think so many of the live service mechanics are just sort of machinations of publishers' wet dreams for pouring wringing money out of people like a wet towel, and it doesn't benefit the game, it doesn't benefit the developer, it doesn't benefit the player. So I am not interested in conversations about is it fun, is it it just seems trivial when there's so much at risk. And I hope we reach a point. Sorry, I feel like I've gone on a huge tangent.
No, because this fits along with studios closing. This fits along, and the studios are only closing, from what I can see, because they're not making as much money as they made last year. Not because they're broke, because they're not making more than they made last year. So they're making the same, but not more.
But that CEO's getting a fat bonus, I bet.
And that's it.
They're making money. It's how they want to spend
it. That's the thing. I mean, I gotta tell you, if I can spoil one thing about my Avengers article, that's what I'm going to be focusing on. Is the structure at Crystal Dynamics. And it's funny because I keep hearing this come out of other stories this month, where it's God, the same thing there, where it's the people who make the mistakes get rewarded, and the people who have to take the abuse from those mistakes, be the face of those mistakes, they're fired, they're shit canned with no severance half the time. Or they're I mean, I don't know, I don't have a secondary part of that sentence. I ran out of steam.
You know what I'm waiting for, what I'm looking forward to, and it kind of fits along this. I'm waiting to see a documentary 10, 15 years from now about social media managers. Social media managers for these companies during these times. I would love to watch like what just happened with Unity. Those were people who don't develop games behind them handles. Those were people whose sole purpose were to be social. You were hired off your social media skills, not how well you can develop games or know how to use Unity. But you had to fight the world. You had to stand and fight the world off of a decision of some rich person sitting up behind a desk in a meeting making a decision. And here it is, you making $18 an hour, if you're lucky, are sitting there having to fight the world. And I want to see that. So in thinking about how the little man is the one who gets stepped on, that's so kind of piggybacking off of that. That's why I want to see that documentary, because that's gonna be because that's a new industry. Your sole purpose is to run our social media account for this $1 billion company. Good luck, you got it.
We're really on the precipice of a reckoning, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think the writer's strike and the SAG-AFTRA strike has really sort of broken the floodgates, and I think unified workers in a way that they haven't been in a long time. Like, I think it's so easy it's easier for us as just people on the street to empathize with them as humans than it has ever been. And maybe that's, the internet and social media and just how we connect with each other. And I think it's also a very unfortunate for the publishers after effect of social media managers and having to connect with the people making these as people as part of the marketing process. You know what I mean? So much of it is less commercials, but here's like these humans that are interacting with you and like managing the community. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they understood what that meant long term when you start really humanizing developers in the eyes of gamers. When you abuse them, suddenly we care, And that sounds terrible, obviously, but I mean, let's face it, that's the truth. Like, we look at the Activision Blizzard sexual abuse.
Yes.
That was going on for years. And it could barely, it made headlines, obviously. But I mean, if that story broke today, I think it would be 3 times as big. And now those arrests from the other night, with the Ubisoft executives.
Yeah.
I think we're really on the precipice of something really amazing in this industry, and I'm so happy to see it. But I'm kind of dancing around the question a little bit. What you said, Fame, about do you think that the superhero games will succeed in this space again? I'm of so many minds with that question. Like, it's a real loaded question for me. I think it can, and I think it will. And I think it will from Marvel even. I don't think any party was completely deterred by this, which is part of the problem. Like, I don't think anybody really looked at the failure of Avengers and was like, well, we're not going to do that again. Like, it seems like everyone involved seemed to take away the lesson of like, oh, it was just slightly wrong for this one reason. We just got to fix that and do it again. Like,
every game,
isn't that the whole industry though?
It's
gross.
I'm sorry. Every Marvel game we got that we know is coming, they're all single player, story driven games. Like, we got, of course, Spiderman 2, which is about to drop. We know about Wolverine. We know what that's going to be. The Black Panther game, the Iron Man game, the Black Panther and Captain America game. It seems like all of these games are going to be the furthest thing away from what the Avengers was for Marvel.
I mean, don't quote me on this. You'll hear a little more of this in my article, but don't count that out just yet.
When is this article coming out, and when I need two things. I need the link to where we can read it, right? And I need a date, because I was ready to read this article 2 weeks ago, Miller.
I know. I'll tell you the problem. Like, when I started,
like editor.
when I started writing it, I was so ready to just write, like, because I had a really big break, a really big scoop on what season 2 of the game looked like before plans changed.
Was the reinvention real? Well,
yes. 100%. Okay. Like, and I mean, leading up to that, like, encompassing She-Hulk, Winter Soldier, and Captain Marvel. What that block of content would have been back when Hawkeye and Kate Bishop were happening. What the plans were at that point for season 2. I had a huge scoop on that, and I was so ready to write just that. And I approached many different people. And slowly but surely, this ballooned into a full... And I mean, this was like 3 months ago, by the way. But slowly, this has turned into just a huge post-mortem. Like, this is everything that I've heard. This is the culture at Crystal Dynamics and why that was a problem and continues to be a problem for them. And how their history plays into that. How Marvel Games interfered, and a lot of tea on that. Again, what season 2 was going to be, and I've already teased this on my Twitter, but I will be revealing what the She-Hulk design that they had made was. Which is the only character from that block that we haven't seen, because we got Captain Marvel in like an in-game poster, and they ultimately released Winter Soldier, so She-Hulk was always kind of a question mark. So I'm planning on showing that. It's the biggest thing I've ever written. It could be something really big for my career, but I'm so petrified because it's gonna piss a lot of people off, and I'm nervous.
I can't
Like,
wait.
like you could really interpret this as a hit piece, and
Ooh.
like I'm nervous. Like I'm not. That's not something that I even set out to write. But conversations with sources were making me like increasingly sick with some of the treatment that they endured, and I think it's a story that's absolutely worth telling. And I think putting this all together, I think it makes for like, you know, everyone has something there. You know, everybody's going to be reading this. It's going to be a big moment, and I just need to be there to catch whatever comes after. You know, because then I'm spent. Like my Avengers journey ends probably with that, unless I write a book or something.
Yeah.
Like
When? If not when, where?
oh, I will be. It will be published on Xputer.
Okay.
I will. You can follow my Twitter. I will be tweeting it. I'll be retweeting a whole bunch of stuff about it when it launches. I'll be pinning it. Yeah, twitter.com/Miller with 8 M's. That's MMMMMMMILLER.
Got
If
the
you just
link in
search,
the chat. Drop a bunch of M's, you'll see them.
yeah, if you just search for Miller Ross, you'll find me and other things that I won't talk about. Yeah, that sounds like I'm, like, you know, like something not safe for work, but I don't mean that.
I've been anticipating this article for a very long time.
Oh God, me too.
I cannot wait. I will say this one thing that I've taken out of this conversation a lot is I am now fearful for Perfect.
As you should be.
I
man.
think it
You
should
should
be.
have been.
I mean, it's ironic though because IGN ran a story, and I love Rebecca Valentine. I think she's an incredible reporter.
Awesome.
Like truly. But she reported back in, I think it was May, that Perfect Dark is finally back on track, and like it's all going smoothly now. And I don't know if I agree. Yeah, I'm not discounting her reporting at all. I am 100% confident in her sources, having never spoken to any of them, sight unseen. But like some conversations that I have had with my own sources at Crystal Dynamics paint a very different picture about Perfect Dark. To me, it really does just seem like it seems like to me Crystal Dynamics are sort of making up a plan B, just in case. You know,
Well,
Someone's gonna write an article. Avengers Insider.
Yeah.
Says
yeah,
someone's gonna write an article. dude.
100%.
Well, no, let me tell you what let me know off rip is when they called it a quadruple A studio. That was like when they did that, I was like, yeah, this is doomed. Like that was
That's just like a nice way of saying crunch. Like really, like I mean, Daryl Gallagher was the head of Crystal Dynamics during like the whole Tomb Raider reboot era, and he ran a very crunch heavy studio, and that continues on with Scott Amos and Ron Rosenberg. I hesitate to go off on it because we've heard today how common it is across the industry, even to that extent. But I mean, I think the issue with it is one of the biggest issues with it is that it hasn't produced anything great. Like nothing that they have crunched for has been worth abandoning your family. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not just talking like, okay, you know, the game is out in 6 months. We got to go gold soon. You guys, here we go. I'm talking like 2 to 3 times a year for months at a time, every year. Like it's inappropriate. It's a massive failure of management, and again produces nothing great, nothing objectively great, but they are continuously rewarded for it. And I think it's disgusting, frankly, that people are throwing their lives away for failed projects, and the people who are failing promote themselves after, you know? So when I look at Daryl Gallagher running the initiative, and it's a quadruple A studio, I think that's the biggest crock of bullshit I've ever heard in my life.
I love Miller.
So much so they needed Crystal Dynamics to help them finish it.
But that's it too. It's like, listen, I couldn't pick another studio to crunch as hard as I used to crunch these guys, so let's just go crunch the studio I used to crunch. Like, You know what I mean?
We heard about a lot of top, and I know I know the show was supposed to end 15 minutes ago. Right now, I apologize. I got here late, and I really want to talk to Miller because.
No. Time out. Let me stop you. Miller, thank you so much because I've never seen fame like the fangirl over a game.
Yeah.
And he's in a different mode. No, you don't understand. Normally he's trying to get us to stop talking about whatever we're talking about. And it's so amazing to see him in his mode, in his element. And it's sad that this game is gone, even though I've made so much fun of it and him for playing it. But just continue, fam. I just wanted to say thank you because this is awesome to see him like this. He's giddy.
No, I'm super excited to have you back sometime after that article so we can talk about it.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
And
period.
Really, I want to make this last point about Crystal Dynamics because when the studio when not Crystal Dynamics, the initiative, when the studio was first formed, we heard about how it got so much great talent from Santa Monica. It was so many big name studios that it was getting talent from, and then all of a sudden it was a big jettison at one time.
Can I elaborate on that really quick?
Yes.
Okay. Crystal Dynamics is one of those studios, and I'm going to say as much basically verbatim in my article, but Crystal Dynamics is one of those studios that, like NetherRealm, I believe, got lambasted for this a couple years ago, that targets fans of their IPs. Because they know if you love the IP, you are more likely to be okay with working 16 hours a day. So...
Coming.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And so...
100% true.
The problem is, though, eventually you run out. Like, when you have a high turnover rate in a studio, very rarely do you go back to people that you have, previously let go or quit. That's not really the foundation of a good relationship. So I look at starting the initiative as really, what's the word I'm looking for? Underhanded? As just sort of a means to then look at desirable talent without the baggage of but you have to work for Crystal Dynamics. You know what I mean? It's like, oh no, we're a new studio. We're quadruple A. No, we're not Crystal Dynamics. But it's like they're running the ship exactly like Crystal Dynamics. And that's why it falls apart. That's why the previous studio that they were collaborating with on Perfect Dark, that whole thing fell apart. And I just don't, it's not sustainable. Like people, believe it or not, people don't want to die. People don't want to throw their lives away on the job to make shitty, soulless, Uncharted ripoffs. Sorry.
Just everyone don't be shocked if we talk about that person who writes that article. Because now I got this sinking feeling in my gut about this game. But listen,
it's not gonna happen.
I know.
But it's not a sinking feeling, though. Because I would rather the game collapse and fall apart and people want to live than people crunch and we're reading about something tragic along with the game. I'd rather everything collapse before mental
100%
health is. And I know you're with me on that too. Because you are a proponent for people's mental health.
1,000,000%. As someone who struggles with mental health, 1,000,000. But I do know for a fact I do need to end this show. Miller.
Do you?
I hate I wasn't here the entire time. But yeah. When you
got you. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Mine just came in too. I know what you mean.
Yeah. So listen, Miller, I want to get with you because I want to talk to you again after this piece comes out because I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to link it. The XPUTER. I'll put that in the. Is that how you pronounce the website, right? I'll put the link in the description so people can be prepared. I've dropped your Twitter handle in the chat. I'll put in the description as well. So you guys can go follow Miller. He is a great follow. Please go check him out. I'm super excited to have him back on again. He already agreed to come back on, so it's not going back now, Miller. You're next time you come to the house, walk up to the refrigerator, grab what you want to drink. You are part of the family now. I know Dez, welcome back from the great work you were doing in Japan. I hope Dez is there. She's still here. Yay!
I'm still here.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We're so happy to have you back. You did such amazing work out there for Freedom Games out there in Japan. And I'm glad that you made it back safely.
Facts.
first and
I
foremost.
know I didn't even get
And,
sick.
Ooh!
See? Look, proud of
I
you.
Lucky. Okay.
I know. Vitamins.
Very,
Give me
very
some of that
proud of
luck.
you. And then if you guys missed it yesterday, go back and watch Cogs and the Machine. Hugger and Boy did co-op some Resident Evil 5. So make sure you guys go and check that out. We will at some point get them to play that game on cam because I know it's going to be freaking hilarious. Next Tuesday, I do have 15 minutes of fame. I don't know who the target is. We'll figure it out when we get there. So on and so forth. Listen, this morning, we did drop our review for Assassin's Creed Mirage. One of our writers at LV1Gaming.com, Old Man Logan, he did do the review. He did a written and a video review. You guys know, as much as I guys want you to support Level 1, I want you guys to support the writers that we have at Level 1 because they do amazing work. And we are looking for more reviewers at Level1Gaming.com. We got a lot of review codes that have been given to us, and we need more people to help us cover these games over at our website. So again, thank you, Miller, for coming out and rocking with us. We will be back next Wednesday, guys, for episode 265, and I promise I won't have an event that causes me to be here an hour late. But so is life. With all that said, congratulations, you guys leveled up to 264. This was the WXP Podcast. See you guys next week. Peace.
Bye.
Sarange.